Every child is unique, and in a mainstream classroom, you may encounter students who experience and process the world differently. One such group of learners are children with autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. In this video, we will explore ASD, what it is, why early intervention matters, and how educators can recognize early signs and challenges. You will also gain practical strategies to create an inclusive and supporting learning environment, where small changes can make a big difference in a child's learning journey. As professionals in early childhood education, we are deeply committed to advocating for inclusivity in the sector. Every child, regardless of their abilities, deserves access to quality education and support. My name is Fifi, and I am joined by my group mates, Benazir and Grizel, who share the same passion for fostering inclusive learning spaces. Let us explore why early intervention is important. Early intervention refers to the specialized support provided in the early years of a child's life to enhance learning, communication, and social skills. Research done by Namias and team showed that with early intervention, there are better long-term outcomes in communication, independence, academic success, and school readiness. Let us explore the early intervention landscape in Singapore. In preschools, for children who have made significant progress in early intervention centers, the Developmental Support Plus program, or DS Plus, helps them to integrate into mainstream preschool settings with additional assistance. Early intervention professionals work hand in hand with preschool teachers to adapt classroom activities and provide strategies to support children within a mainstream learning environment. Lastly, there is the Development Support and Learning Support Program, or DSLS. This program supports children in kindergarten 1 and 2 who require lower levels of early intervention support by providing targeted developmental and learning support in areas such as speech and language, social skills, motor skills, behavior, and literacy. If you would like to find out more, do check in with your center's inclusion officer or the Early Childhood Development Agency, ECDA.
Let's now look into understanding more on autism spectrum disorder. In Singapore, autism is a neurodevelopment condition affecting social communication, behavior, and sensory processing. A child with ASD may struggle to understand facial expressions or tone of voice, leading to difficulties in social interactions. Here's an example. After a 3-year-old child with speech delay starts speech therapy as a form of early intervention, she began using simple words to express her needs within months. The prevalence of Singaporean children diagnosed with ASD is approximately 1 in 100 children. In Singapore, ASD diagnosis has been rising, with more children identified at an early age due to improved screening. The Ministry of Health and preschools encourage early screening so children can have early access to support services. Do you know, boys are about 4 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls. In a preschool with 5 diagnosed children, 4 might be boys and 1 might be a girl. However, girls with ASD may exhibit different symptoms, often being more socially adaptive, which can lead to later diagnosis. Let me share with you some behavioral and developmental characteristics of children with ASD. Some social communication challenges include difficulty making eye contact. For example, a child may avoid looking at people when talking and instead focus on objects or look away. Another would be the limited usage of gestures such as pointing or waving. For example, instead of pointing at a toy they want, a child might grab onto an adult's hand and lead them to it. Also, they may also exhibit delayed or unusual speech patterns. For example, a child may repeat phrases from a cartoon instead of using their own words to communicate, a behavior known as echolalia. Apart from social communication challenges, they may also exhibit repetitive behavior. For instance, hand flapping, rocking, or spinning objects. For example, a child may flap their hands when excited or spin the wheels of a toy car instead of playing with it conventionally. Also, they may have intense focus on specific interests. For example, preschoolers may memorize or recite the entire train schedule but struggle with basic conversations. And also, they tend to be resistant to changes in routine. For example, a child may get very upset if their daily schedule changes, such as having a different route to school or a new teacher. Children with ASD might also exhibit sensory sensitivities. They might have an overreaction or underreaction to sounds, textures, or even lights. For example, a child may cover their ears and scream when hearing a loud vacuum cleaner or cry when wearing certain fabrics. They might also exhibit a preference for certain sensory inputs, such as spinning or staring at lights. For example, a child may repeatedly spin in circles or stare at ceiling fans for long periods. Here are some early red flags to look out for. Number 1, the lack of response to their name by 1 year old. For example, parents call their child's name multiple times, but the child does not turn or react, making them worry about hearing issues. Number 2, child is not observed to be babbling or gesturing by 1 year old. For example, while other babies wave bye-bye or clap, a child with ASD might not show these gestures. Number 3, child does not use meaningful words by 16 months. For example, instead of saying mama or ball, the child remains mostly silent or only makes sounds. Number 4, child does not use two-word phrases by 2-year-old. For example, a toddler may say single words like car, but not combine words into short phrases such as big car or one milk. Number 5, child is observed to lose previously acquired speech or social skills. For example, a child who used to say dada suddenly stops speaking altogether and withdraws from interaction. Number 6, child is observed to avoid eye contact and had limited social engagement. For example, during group play, a child may sit alone, prefer to line up toys instead of playing with peers.
Have you ever wondered how autism spectrum disorder (ASD) is diagnosed? Typically, ASD assessments are conducted by a trained practitioner, often a psychiatrist. When a child is referred for further assessment, they are observed in a play setting accompanied by interviews with their primary caregivers, usually their parents. But did you know that educators like you play a crucial role too? Children spend an average of 8 to 10 hours a day in school, and many of their developmental milestones happen right here in our classrooms. As educators, we are in a prime position to notice early signs of ASD by identifying red flags, some of which my colleagues have previously discussed, and documenting our observations. We can support families and assessors in initiating early intervention without unnecessary delays. However, we understand that even after a child is referred for assessment, the waiting time for intervention can be long. So, what can we do in the meantime to support children with ASD in a typical preschool setting like ours? The answer lies in assistive technology. Assistive technology helps children with ASD process information more effectively. It refers to any item, equipment, or product system that enhances functional capabilities for individuals with disabilities. Some examples include visual schedules, flashcards, communication pictures, and interactive toys. Two key areas that can be used in daily interactions that includes pivotal response teaching, in short PRT, and the Early Start Denver model, in short ESDM. PRT teaches children to respond to learning opportunities in their natural environment. For example, if a child loves blocks, the educator integrates letter recognition into block play. ESDM is similar but incorporates multiple goals within a single activity. For instance, if a child is working on a shape puzzle, the educator may place a piece out of reach to encourage communication and problem solving. While there are about 14 intervention strategies targeting different developmental areas, with assistive technology as a foundation, we can incorporate 3 easy-to-apply key intervention strategies that target 6 developmental areas in our classroom. These strategies include Picture Exchange Communication System, widely known as PECS, for language training and schedule, Applied Behavioral Analysis, also known as ABA, for behavioral intervention and self-management, and social stories for modeling and story-based interventions. In the next segment, we will explore each of these intervention strategies in detail. We'll discuss how you can integrate them into your daily interactions with children, their benefits, and important considerations to keep in mind. Let's now take a deeper look at PECS, the Picture Exchange Communication System, and how it helps children with ASD communicate effectively. PECS allow children with little or no communication abilities to express their needs through pictures. By exchanging pictures, children will initiate communication. For example, if a child wants water, they would show a picture of a water bottle or cup, depending on what has been established with them. PECS is structured into 6 phases, each building on the previous one. Let's go through them. In phase 1, communication is established with the child. The child and educator exchange single picture to express desires. For example, if a child wants a toy, they will show a picture of the toy. Building on phase 1, children now use PECS in a different setting or with different people. For instance, if the PECS board is brought to the music room and the child wants water, they pick out the water picture and give it to their educator. In the class, the PECS board may be placed at a distance, requiring the child to retrieve their picture and persistently travel back to the educator to communicate. Now that communication is established, in phase 3, the educator adds 2 or more pictures to the PECS board. The child should be able to discriminate between the pictures to communicate their specific desires. At this phase, children move beyond single pictures. Educators introduce simple sentence strips such as I want. The child then uses this strip with an image to communicate their need. For example, I want, and they'll show together with a picture of an apple. Children now begin responding to questions using PECS. For example, when asked, what do you want? The child selects the picture of an apple and passes it to the educator. Once confident, they may verbalize their response along with the picture. In this final phase, children expand their communication beyond requests. They are encouraged to comment on questions like, what do you see? What do you hear? What is it? With sentence using I see, I feel, or I hear. So, how can we integrate PECS into our daily classroom? Through visual. Visual schedules provide children with a head start of their day by helping them anticipate activities and transition. Individualized PEC boards cater to each child's specific communication needs, ensuring that they have tools to express themselves. Most importantly, consistency is key. By maintaining structured and repeated use of PECs, we can witness steady progress in a child's development. PECs provide numerous benefits, including improving functional communication for nonverbal children, gradually enhancing social interaction skills, minimizing negative behaviors caused by communication barriers at home, school, or therapy sessions. However, there are also some limitations to consider. PECs requires a lot of manual work in terms of preparing materials. It may not be suitable for children with visual disabilities. The process can be time-consuming as the desired behaviors might not develop efficiently. Inconsistency between home and school can cause hindrance in the progress. PECS is a powerful tool that fosters communication and independence in children with ASD. By integrating these strategies into your daily interactions, we can create a more inclusive and supportive learning environment for children. Now let's discuss applied behavior analysis, or in short, ABA. ABA is a commonly used evidence-based therapy for children with ASD. It focuses on developing appropriate and effective behaviors using positive reinforcement such as words of affirmation, reward charts, food incentive, or favorite toys. ABA follows a structured approach known as the ABC model. A stands for antecedent, an event or stimuli that takes place before an action. Example, a caregiver turns off the light before everyone leaves the classroom. B for behavior, an observable action. Example, a child covers their face and crouches in a corner. And C, consequence, a counteraction to help manage the behavior. Example, the caregiver turns the light back on and waits for the child to leave before turning it off again. How can ABA be applied in your classroom? First, understand your student's profile. It is important to know who your child is and what specific areas or goals you would like for the child to achieve. Second, plan achievable goals and activities. It is recommended to have something simple and bite-sized rather than something complex and long-term. Third, track your students' progress. Unlike a typical child's ability to recall concepts, children with disabilities require repetition from day to day to show steady progress. Last but not least, facilitate the session with meaningful prompts. Patience is key. Not all children will want to participate in the same activity regularly. Again, consistency and repetition are critical. ABA has numerous benefits, including but not limited to being evidence-based approach, individualized learning, focusing on positive reinforcement, and the generalization of skills where children will be able to apply the learned behavior in different settings. However, there are also some reservations in applying ABA for the following considerations. It is time intensive, extended therapy hours and preparation of materials is required. It's very structured and rigid. It focuses on compliance and behavioral conformity, and time to time it is known to have negative emotional impact because of the intensivity of ABA. Lastly, social stories are another impactful tool for children with ASD. These personalized narrative-based interventions help them navigate social situations and emotions, preparing them for real-life scenarios. Social stories describes what will happen, why it happens, and what the child can do. Some examples of social stories includes regulating emotions, saying hello and goodbye, following classroom rules, raising your hands to speak, sharing toys, taking turns, listening during story time. By now, you would have noticed that these are some classroom rules that you use in your regular classroom environment. However, to children with ASD, these are some skills that require specific intervention. Introduction often narrates the topic of the story. You are encouraged to keep it simple and direct. For example, what do I do when I am angry? The goal is to explain the importance of this social story. Example, it is okay to feel angry. Descriptive sentence will allow you present factual information to describe what could possibly happen. Example, what will happen when I am angry? I'll stomp my feet, I will cry, I will scream, or I will clench my fist and face. In prescriptive sentences, you will describe the feeling or thought of the child in the story. Example, what will I feel when I'm angry? I will feel sad, hot, I may sweat, or my heart will pound really fast. Then you proceed to suggest positive behaviors that the child can follow when he or she feels angry. Some examples include breathing in and out, using a stress ball, counting forward to 10, or talk about why you feel sad. Last but not least, be affirmative and reinforce the importance of the situation and affirm the ability to make the right choice. What happens when I am calm? I will be able to think better, and my friend and teachers will be happy with me. So, how can you integrate social stories in your classroom? It is important to understand your students' profile and what is their social needs. Personalize their social stories to cater to their needs. Use appropriate and simple language with real-life scenarios to make it relatable. Be consistent and model the desired behavior for children to follow. Focus on positive outcomes and reaffirmations. Social stories help children improve social understandings. It encourages positive behaviors. It is customizable and individualized, and it is reinforced through repetition. However, with every intervention, there are also some considerations. Social stories can be time intensive for both preparation of materials and to see results. It may not be effective on non-visual learners, or it may require additional support and integration with other early interventional strategies such as PECS or ABA. And last but not least, it is not always generalizable, as the child may not be able to apply it out of context or in a different setting. Be the champion, be the educator. You have the power to make a difference in the lives of children with ASD by integrating PECS, ABA, and social stories into your classroom. You can create a more inclusive, supportive, and engaging learning environment. Let's take action today because every child deserves the opportunity to thrive.
For more information, do take a look at the Autism Resource Centre Singapore's website or the Ministry of Education's Educational Need Resources website. We hope that you found this video informative. Thank you.